Okay, let's go.
For so many of us, especially if you're a driven person, anxiety just feels normal. It's like this constant background noise, right? The price you pay for being ambitious. But what if that's totally wrong? Today, we're going to dive into philosopher and investor Naval Ravikant's incredible framework for not just dealing with anxiety, but actually conquering it for good.
Seriously, just pause for a second and really think about that. What could you actually get done? How much lighter would you feel if your brain wasn't constantly stuck in these loops of worry and what-ifs? It's a pretty powerful thought, and it's really the heart of what we're digging into today.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. See, Naval doesn't look at anxiety as just a bad mood. Nope. He sees it as a direct handbrake on your effectiveness, something that is actively holding you back from being who you could be.
Okay, so let's get into it. You can't solve a problem until you really understand it. And this is where most of us get tripped up. Naval makes this super important distinction between two words we kind of throw around all the time: stress and anxiety. And it turns out they are not the same thing. Not at all.
So, according to Naval, stress is incredibly specific. It's that feeling you get when you want two completely opposite things at the same time. You know the feeling, right? Like, you really want to make money, but you really don't want to go to work today. That internal conflict, that pull, that is stress.
And this image just captures that feeling perfectly, doesn't it? You can almost feel that tension. The beam can't go both ways, and neither can you. The only way to release that pressure is to pick a direction.
Anxiety. Now that's a different beast. That's what happens when all those little individual stresses don't get dealt with. They just start to pile up. They stack on top of each other in your mind until you can't even tell one from the other, and it just creates this constant nagging hum of unease.
Think of it like an iceberg. The anxiety you actually feel is just that little tip sticking out of the water. But underneath the surface, there's this enormous hidden mass of unresolved conflicts, decisions you haven't made, and problems you've just kind of pushed to the side.
So, here's the most important takeaway. You solve stress by making a choice. Simple as that. But you solve anxiety by becoming a detective, by looking under the surface, identifying that huge pile of individual stresses, and dealing with them one by one.
All right, so now that we know what the problem is, how in the world do we fix it? Well, this brings us to Naval's most powerful and, I'll admit, maybe most shocking tool for just cutting through all that mental noise. And it requires a total shift in how you see everything.
Now, this isn't about some complicated technique or a 30-day meditation challenge. Naval says there is one single core idea that, if you really get it, provides the ultimate context and can make your worries just dissolve.
Okay, I know that sounds intense, maybe even a little dark, but just hang with me for a second. This isn't about being morbid. It's all about perspective. When you actually take a moment to think about the fact that our time here is limited, all those little things we stress out about every day, they just kind of shrink, don't they? You see them for what they are, temporary.
So when you put your daily worries, that awkward email you have to send, that deadline that's looming, up against the massive backdrop of your own mortality, they lose all their power. It's like by confronting the biggest, scariest reality, you get freedom from all the small stuff. So, if life is short, how do we make the most of it? Well, this leads us to the core practice, and it starts by completely changing how you think about wasting time. This right here is a total game changer. For Naval, wasted time has nothing to do with being unproductive or lazy. The only time that's truly, genuinely wasted is any moment when your body is right here, but your mind is somewhere else entirely.
And this pretty much lays out the perfect recipe for wasting your life. It's not about failing to achieve something great. It's just about refusing to be where you are. It's living in regret about yesterday or being anxious about tomorrow instead of actually being here, right now.
And this ties right back to that whole life is short idea. We worry so much about not being here one day, but we don't realize how often we aren't fully here right now. If you're not present, you are literally missing out on the only thing you will ever truly have, this moment.
So, if being present is the goal, how do we use that presence to make those tough choices that cause so much of our stress to begin with? This brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, learning how to listen to our two internal decision makers. Naval draws a really clear line between the head and the gut. Your head, your logical brain, it's amazing for analyzing problems with clear answers. Math problems, spreadsheets, that sort of thing. But for the big, messy, important decisions in life,
That's gut territory.
And this is the key insight. Your intuition, your gut, it's built from the sum total of every single experience you've ever had. It often knows the right move long before your rational mind can build a logical case for it. I like to think of it this way. The head is the lawyer, but the gut is the judge.
And this gives us a really simple, beautiful framework. Use your head to gather all the facts, lay out the pros and cons, but then, and this is the important part, you stop. You give yourself space. You wait for that gut feeling to rise up with real clarity, and when it does, you trust it. This is such a critical reminder. Learning to trust your intuition, it takes time, it takes practice. But ignoring your gut, especially on the huge things like relationships or what you do with your life, well, that's often a recipe for major regret. It's a decision your future self is going to look back on and say, I knew it all along.
And really, that's what this all boils down to. The antidote to anxiety isn't some magic pill or a quick fix. It's presence. It's the radical, full acceptance that this moment right here is the only thing that's real. So, the only question that's really left is, are you going to show up for it?